in order to generate a same ROI with a very specific ad copy where the cost per lead is like 45, $50 a head, your conversion rate has to go up to 60%. Basically meaning like your copy's got to be so good it's speaking directly to exactly who it is that you take care of. And most of our businesses just don't operate that way.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Last week, we told you guys tune in this week. We're going to have Tommy back. We're going to dive deeper into the numbers. So if you're one of those numbers, guys or girls, another classic episode for you. So, guys, we're going to jump right into it. Again, this continues from last week. And we're really going to start off talking about how we try not to be too specific while being specific enough to get people to respond and let them see that we can help them. Because what we've seen over the years, guys, over the years and years of doing this, if someone comes to us and says, I only want 38-year-old men that make $200,000 that want to lose 17% body fat in the next 12 weeks, those ads get very, very costly. And most people in the micro gym community, they're not really willing to pay for that. They say they are. Everyone comes to us and say, hey, I only want high quality leads. And then we sort of push back and let them know, no, you really don't, right? Like, because high quality leads are going to cost you top dollar. And then the conversion rate of those cold, high quality leads just isn't going to be high enough to get you an ROI, guys. We've been doing this long enough. So let's just jump right into it. Blake, where do you want to start this?
Yeah, I think that, everybody gets promised like these high quality leads, like when they join a marketing company, and that should just be a red flag to you, right? Like, oh, we can get you all quality leads, unless they say, hey, the cost per lead is going to be $100, right? Because unless you're filtering out by price and forms and all of that stuff, then there's really no way, because long gone, and I wish it was the case, like Facebook, you used to be able to target people based on their income, like literally only made $100,000 or more, right? Like, I wish we could go back and spend a lot more money those days. But that has been taking off. So really what you're doing is you're having to be, like Sherman said, specific enough of who your market is. Like, I always use the analogy of like, rather than saying, hey, pet owners, right? Well, that's not very specific. Than saying, hey, dog owners, that's more specific, right? Like, that might be an avenue. But let's say and we can use this in like fitness space here in a second. Say you really just train like German Shepherds. Hey, German Shepherd owners, you read that immediately, you're like, oh, this is for me, right? You know that it's that breed of animal. And even dog owners, oh, I have a dog, right? But German Shepherd, you're like, wow, they're speaking directly to me. Now, that cost per lead is going to be very high, right? Because there's only a certain segment that have German Shepherds. Dog owners is much broader, right? So you have to decide, as a gym, is it beneficial for me only to work with women that are 45 to 50, right? Is there enough people for me to actually even... Because you're not going to get them all, right? Like, you're just plain and simple not going to get every 45 to 50-year-old. Is there enough people there to actually grow this thing? Like, there's some gyms that we work with, like, you're just too specialized for the audience size that you have, right? Like, so, and we hear it all the time, like, being specialized is great. Like, yeah, if you have a mass market, if you're in downtown Chicago or Houston or Indianapolis or something like that. But like, when you're like so niche that there's not enough audience to fill the niche, you're in trouble. So what we try to do is, take a step back and say like, hey, what is the problem you solve? Generally, who is it for, right? Like, and if you come to us like, hey, we only train 45-year-olds, we're like, probably not the company for you, right? So using the analogy, like we could say, hey, pet owners, that's the Globo gym, right? Hey, dog owners is the micro gym. Hey, German Shepherd owners, you better be in a big industry, like a big downtown, like metropolis, like tons of people that you could get tons of people in, or you don't. It's almost beneficial for you to be niche. So you really need, because we hear it all the time of like mentors being like, super good to be niche and all that stuff. But yes, that's great. But if you don't have the audience size and the population to support it, it doesn't really matter. So I think you have to know that. So what we're going to go over today is we hear it all the time. I just want high quality leads. I don't want to deal with people that are just looking for whatever. But like, I think anybody on this call would probably click on a fitness ad if it spoke to them generally enough, just they want to gather more information. I think where a lot of gym owners get lost in the weeds is like, these people don't want to sign up day one, they're bad leads. No, like if we're honest, you're just really bad at conveying the value that you give the client, right? Like they're not bad leads. Basically, they saw your ad, they said that copy is the problem they have. It sounds like you can solve it. When we got them to you, you just did a poor job of conveying how you actually connect those dots and are, like we say, is the guide. So what we're going to do today, and Tommy, the guru of numbers, is going to pull up just numbers of like what it looks like to say like far end Globo Gym, $1 sign up fee, right? Free, come in today. And then what we do, or the opposite side, the German Shepherd, right? Training for being a police dog. And then we're going to do kind of the more general and what avenue you should go down. Does that sound right, guys?
Yeah. One thing I
Yeah.
just wanted to add, Blake, is like most of our clients and people who are seeking our services and our consulting, they're brick and mortar gym owners. Like we have the burden of overhead and rent and leases. Like if I was an online coach, I could get super niche and be like, yeah, I only want to work with like 10 blah 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 because I have no overhead other than Wi-Fi expenses, right? So like we also have to be general in the sense of like, guys, we have a rent payment every month and we have a lot of overhead that we need to be able to afford. So like, it's just a different way of thinking about, does it make more sense to be general or niche? So I just wanted to build on what you said, Blake, because that's most of our clients, they're brick and mortar. So just to emphasize that a little bit more. So let's jump into the numbers, guys. And again, I'm not going to try and be your Rain Man with this. Like I'll keep it pretty high level so we just don't get lost in the weeds. But so last episode, we kind of discussed how we like to think about ROI and how we like to consult around ROI. Now, what I did here on the far left, we have that base scenario that we went over in episode 1. And if you missed that, definitely revisit it. Now, where Blake and I left off was really saying like, okay, wait, what levers can we pull to make this better? But what are the trade-offs of pulling those levers, right? So if I'm trying to increase an ROI for my clients that I'm consulting on, I could say, hey, let's try to get cheaper leads. Like, let's just decrease the cost per lead. Like we had talked about, for most of our gyms, we're averaging somewhere in around the $13 to $18 per lead. What if we drop down to $5 per lead, right? And so now we're looking at this second column, this cheaper cost per lead scenario. And you can see ROI just goes through the roof here at the very bottom. Now we're, in the thousands and thousands, 10x, 11x range. Now, the problem here, and this is where I want to lean on Blake because this is his field of expertise, is based on what he sees in the marketplace, what would he have to do in order to generate $5 leads for a gym? And what are the trade-offs of having those people knock on your door? So Blake, $5 leads, what's the copy you're writing? What are we offering? And what is the extra burden or benefit on the gym owner if we went down that road?
Yeah, I mean, and just to be clear, sometimes there are people that get $5 leads that are in very rural areas that never ran ads and they have very little competition, right? Or to be honest, international clients sometimes get really cheap leads with great copy. But let's say you're in a decent sized market, to get you $5 leads in if you're listening to this in September 2024, you are going to have to say either free 6-week challenge, free 6-week challenge, transformation challenge, like use the word challenge, all those key words that people thinking that there's a hard start and hard stop date, which is going to be for your gym. That I would say the leg here is going to go from 18 months to probably 3 months, right? So they aren't going to stay for a long time. They're going to be people that are looking for quick fixes. They're going to be people that want to, just think that you're basically like some people come to us, think they're going to save their business. You're going to change their life in 30 days, right? So they're going to be a high churn client they're not going to be looking for what you do, just like we look for people that come to us. Like, I don't know, Tom, we didn't get a chance to say it. I'm going to go on a tangent a little bit. A guy put in Chat GPT, he put us versus another big ad company. And they're like, if you're looking for quick results, go to this other ad company. If you're looking for sustainable growth over time that's predictable, go with Lasso, which I thought was super cool. And I was like, Chat GPT is amazing. But that's exactly what you don't want, right? Is the client that's looking for a quick fix. That would be the $5 lead.
And Blake, just to build on that, like just because I've had the pleasure of joining you guys on a few discovery calls with people who are maybe looking to hire us to help them out, and it seems like a lot of people, the hesitation to work with us comes from the fact that they've tried this strategy in the past and like, dude, I almost blew up my business. This was a headache. It was a lot of extra work. I mean, would you guys agree with that? Generally speaking, that's the kind of conversations we're having most of the time.
Oh yeah, our number one complaint is it just happened today. I've talked to 3 other marketing companies, you're the third one, right?
Yeah.
And so it happens all the time. I've just been burned before, overpromise, under-deliver, all that kind of stuff. Gimmicky, wasn't my ideal client. And just to be transparent, if you're listening to this, just like these numbers say, if we get you even at the last column, if we get you 50 leads, we're not expecting you to sign up 50. We know there's going to be 30 people that waste your time.
Yeah. So that's door number one, right? That's one lever we can pull. And I think Blake did a great job of just eloquently walking you through, like, here are the trade-offs of deciding to go through that door, right? Now, on the opposite end, I've seen different marketing companies try to pitch this idea of like, hey, let's try to be more specific, like the German Shepherd analogy you're giving, Blake, because it speaks directly to the consumer. We're going to put the price right on the ad. You should get higher conversions. Speak a little bit about, like, I know you explain this really, really well. Explain what the trade-offs are of going in that direction for gym owners like myself and like people who are listening to this, where we solve general health and wellness problems.
Yeah, I think the main thing is like this is going to be like a high PT hybrid person that's like, I just want super qualified leads that are 40 years old making $200,000 that want to play tennis and golf all day, right? The problem is, they're few and far between, but also anytime that you just project the price out there, you're not like, we just got off a call with somebody that probably it's $800 to $2,000 to start up with them. If I put, hey, our prices start at $800, guess how many people are really going to click on that? Probably none, like just to be upfront, because they don't know the value associated with that, right? And so instead of being like, this is the problem, get them in the funnel, let your CRM really handle the heavy lifting and then filter them through the system. Because the other thing we're not mentioning on this is that, like, it takes a lot of time, 10 touch points before somebody makes a buying decision, right? So just because somebody doesn't sign up in week 1, 2, 3, or even a month doesn't mean they're a bad lead. But when you go super niche and like, I only want quality, it's not, if you get 16 leads, right, you gotta be hounding those people first off. And if it's the time of year that, like, maybe it's spring break and everybody's gone, that those people that can afford it, you're going to get way less leads. So there's too much dynamic and too many variables that can go wrong in that, in which the gym owner, this always happens. It's never failed. The gym owner that says that always switches back to wanting more leads. Because it just was never enough. Like, you can tell by their sheet. I hate to say this. I think Sherman knows what I'm going to say. The people that do this actually just end up being very lazy because they don't want to deal. They don't want to, they only think that like if I get 20 leads and sign up 20 people, this is make my life a lot easier. They don't realize like if you're going to do paid marketing, you're going to have to work.
I
Any
mean,
business, right? Let's be honest. Any business you're going to grow, you're going to have to work.
sort
We've
of to
done
piggyback
3
off.
calls today and nobody like, yeah, there's going to be people that haven't been great fits.
Correct. And I think sort of to piggyback on what you're saying, Blake, to sort of confirm what you're saying, I take it the same way as putting your prices on your website. I know some people won't agree with that, but like until you get to the point where you just are busting at the seams, you don't need to deal with people anymore because, hey, my gym's making 100 grand a month or whatever your top number, whatever your number is, it could be whatever. You're just like, hey, I'm fine with losing people. We'll get them slowly but surely. Until you get to that point, you don't need to have your prices on your website. But everyone always says, well, if I don't put my prices on my website, then people aren't going to come in, or when they come in, what if they can't afford it? Guys, that's every business in the world. How many times have you walked into a Louis Vuitton store or an exotic car dealership just to look?
0.
Right?
I've never
Right,
been.
right. Oh, poor guy. But like we've all looked at stuff before, and that's just part of it. And when you walk in, the people are just as nice to you, and it's just part of the process. But like Blake, like you're saying, a lot of times this stuff comes from just flat out people being lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to deal with this person if they're not guaranteed to sign up. Guys, if we could guarantee all of your signups, our prices would be much, much higher.
Well,
Much
to your
higher.
point though, Sherman, like I won't use the exotic car because probably 1% of the world can buy a Lambo, but maybe that purse or something like that, like a high end clothing, if you can buy it at one point, you might actually go back. But the cycle of that is just really long. But they still treated you really fairly and honored you coming in. But it just took you longer to buy. They still got you in the door. They didn't have the sign on the door saying, if you're not buying today, don't show up.
Correct.
That's exactly what a lot of these people are doing by putting the prices on. If you can't spend $300 today, don't click on this, right? What if every store you walked in, man, why have we ever talked about this? This is like I feel like this is amazing. Maybe it's just me, but if every store you walked in said our minimum price for a pair of pants is $300 and it was on the storefront, would you actually walk in? But what if those pants were the best pants and they actually lasted for 4 years? You didn't know the value, right? Like, I mean, we all buy Lulu and Viore and stuff. Those clothes last forever. Are they more expensive? Yes, but I know I'm going to have them for 4 years, right? And that's the same thing you guys are doing in your gyms by putting your pricing on. They don't know the value. You might include nutrition. You might be the best programmer in the world. They don't know that, but all they check is, Orange Theory. They might be 180. You're 220. I'm going to go with the 180. That's cheaper because I don't know who provides better results.
Yeah, all great points, you guys. And like, Sherman, a couple of weeks ago, you came out with a podcast episode where you're talking about objections as opportunities and be able to coach people. I think that's what we're getting at here is just there's nuance in this discussion when we're sitting across from people saying, what's the problem you're trying to solve and how can my business solve it? And that could take a couple different directions. There's only so much copy Blake can put in a Facebook ad to say, here's what we do and how we add value. And then the nuance is where we can get more specific around price and how we can attach that to solving, the potential client's problem. So I think we nailed this one home, but it's what I'm hearing is like there's nuance to helping people and having this conversation of how our businesses can best serve people. But also like just to go back to the numbers and Blake, I think you nailed this on the head. Like in order to generate a same ROI with a very specific ad copy where the cost per lead is like 45, $50 a head, your conversion rate has to go up to 60%. Basically meaning like your copy's got to be so good it's speaking directly to exactly who it is that you take care of. And most of our businesses just don't operate that way. So we don't have stockpiles of cash as gym owners, right? Like we're very sensitive towards money. So I agree with the idea of like, hey, let's be wiser in how we spend that money to attract a lot more people, generally speaking, versus potentially losing money of trying to solve someone's very specific thing where there's enough nuance where that's not even necessary. Hopefully I said that well
No,
enough. But
for
does that
sure.
sound about right, you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, and when we say 60%, we're talking about leads to close, not just like your
Yeah.
closing rate when they come in the gym. So that's like not even taking into account, do people show up? Do they get
Yep.
on the call? Did they not get busy? There's just too many variables for a plus $30 cost per lead. And here's the crazy thing, guys, like you're listening. By last year, and I don't know what it is this year, but like by reports, most gyms average cost per lead is $27. We're getting them from $10 to $15, right? So like you're like these numbers, even at a $30 range, are really hard. And that's why most people don't run ads, is because they don't know what works. And that's why, as an industry, kind of the assumption and the stereotype is just that like paid ads don't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the last two scenarios I want to talk about, which is, before we hit the record button, Blake was kind of saying, this is kind of like the middle of the road approach that we kind of profess as an organization when we're working with clients to say, hey, look, like generally speaking, we're not trying to be the people that are going to bring in $5 leads, and we understand the trade-offs that are associated with trying to go very specific $45 leads. If we cast a pretty general net to get you qualified leads, and then we pair that with good business practices, and they're very easy ways to do this, that's where I think this thing really takes off for a lot of our gym owners. So like, for example, like if we just stick with the assumption of, guys, $15 leads, it's more than enough to create a great opportunity set for you to work in. And then let's pair that with better structured offers. I mean, the three of us were on a phone call earlier today with a brand new gym owner that's coming on to work with us, who we were just talking about how he could repackage some of the stuff he's already doing to potentially like add more value to his clients. So if we just simply raise the average revenue per member that someone's signing up at, that shoots your ROI 3x from our base scenario. So now we're down here at like 980% return on ad spend just by structuring your offers a little bit better and knowing how to present them. And all of us on this call know, we have these conversations all the time with gym owners. And then the other thing that you could do is just get better at retention, right? And going back to Blake's point, like cheaper leads, your churn's going to go up. So finding that spot where we're attracting people who want this to be a lifelong lifestyle, not just a churn and burn, let me get it done in 21 days. That's another way for us to approach the ROI discussion, to where if we just simply increased your length of engagement by 6 months with your clients, that shoots this thing through the roof even more. So again, this middle of the road approach of a sensible, effective ad spend and copy and working with us and all of that with good structured offers, great retention, great service. This is where I think gym owners can really win. So feel free to add anything you want, you guys, to that discussion. But I think that's kind of why we are structured the way that we do. And hopefully that makes more sense to our audience.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Again, this is one of the reasons that when someone comes on with us, we take that extra time to help them craft an offer. And when I say craft the offer, obviously I don't mean discount. Anyone knows me, I'm not trying to discount anything. I'm going to ask for a discount though every time, Tommy, but I'm not giving one. We help them craft the offer because it has to speak to the audience when they're coming in. If it's just like, do this, do that, my gym is special, and then it's confusing, like no one's going to take action. And we've seen that time and time again over the years, time and time again.
Yeah, I think, a question that probably people are thinking right now, if I was listening to this, okay, so what gets $10 to $15 leads, right? Without giving away the secret sauce, what you really need to do is convey, you got to have an offer that's compelling, right? You can't just say, schedule a discovery call, schedule a call, come in for a free intro. Like there should be no word that says free anywhere on your copy, right? Not even a free call. Like, there has to be an offer. Like people, you think about, you have to reverse psychology. Like, hey, when I'm scrolling, what's the first thing that catches my eye? The picture, right? That's what stops you. So it's got to be a good picture, number one. Number two is actually the headline. It's got to make sense. It's got to be clear because that's going to be in bold right below it. Then you go to the copy. In the copy, it's got to talk about, there's like an acronym called PASTRA. It's got to like talk about the problem And then you have to go deeper into the problem. You have to give the solution. Sometimes you can give a testimony. Then you have to give an offer, and then you have to give a response, right? Do this next. So those are the things you have to aggravate the problem. So problem, aggravate the problem, what the solution is, like a testimony or how you solve it, and then what's the offer, and then the response, right? Like that would be like, now without like just telling you how to write it, this is where people think like writing Facebook copy is so easy. Well, it's really not. You have to figure out like one word can change everything in some of the way somebody reads it. So a lot of people come to us and they're like, oh, I want to change all my ad copy. And like we make one tiny tweak, because if you change three things, you don't know what works. So you have to know, what I like to say is go through your top 10 paying clients and your 10 favorite clients and see who, cross over, and then say, hey, why did you join the gym? Right? Like, what was your problem of those people? And then what did we do to solve that problem? And then what would you tell other people about us? Right? And that will help you craft some copy to get to your target ideal client. But don't be like we said in the beginning, don't be super specific. Are you like one guy was like, I only want to work with like CEOs. Like, bro, like CEOs probably aren't checking their Facebook. Like, it's just they don't have time, right? So you have to think about like, if that's your audience, you probably just need to show up to every single business owner and ask to see the CEO. I guarantee they don't have time to do it either. So you need to get in business groups and things like that. So you just got to know where your audience is. But if you're more general, writing copy that's going to lead to people that are going to be great clients for you.
Yeah, and not to Blake, not to your point, not to give away how we make the sausage, right? But like the other, just to put all of us on the hot seat right now, the other way to increase ROI is to find a cheaper marketing agency, right? Now, Blake kind of led me into this question, which is, but there's also trade-offs in terms of like, there's things that Blake is doing behind the scenes, Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, in testing things with images and words that allows us to create more predictable results for our clients. So Blake, not to like put you on the spot, but like the reason why we may come across at a slightly premium price, or there may be cheaper options, is because there is a certain budget where you're testing stuff so we create predictable results. Do you want to just speak to that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, so like we know, like Sherman says all the time, we spend $70,000 to $80,000 a month on Facebook ads. We know what's going to work. We like, as a gym owner, like, and you guys probably always been there, like writing your own copy and spending $200. Like I listened to a podcast, like you probably have to find 10 things, test 10 different things to find one winner. But you have to test things at a 2x ROI, or like your say your ARM is $200. You have to spend $400 to test that. If you're testing 10 things, that's $4,000 before if you actually know it works. We're able to take that and break it down to like, we know it works day one. That's why we tell people like, oh, I'm this, unicorn of a gym. Well, we can write custom copy. I just don't know if it works yet. It's going to be expensive. And then they always go back to the other stuff, right? So what we like to do is say like, hey, I know what works. Let me tweak this one thing. I know the special formula. Let me take one thing out. Let me plug this in, see if that makes a massive difference, right? And we have to test things at a massive scale with like 5, 6 gyms to say, okay, this works across everybody, but this is the copy, this is the image, and this is the headline, and then put those together. So really when you're creating this stuff, like, Tommy said, there are cheaper people, but they'll be doing like, oh, get cost per click. Clicks don't matter. Like, let me just give you guys some quick advice here. Clicks don't matter. Facebook is smarter than anyone on this call, anyone listening. The algorithm is way smarter. If you put in there, I just want people to click, who do you think Facebook's going to put it in front of? People that click. If you do video views, which video views, you have to have a large marketing budget to do like retargeting video views. That's just getting it out and being like, I want people to only watch 50% and then retargeting them. But if you do video views, people that watch videos, right? You are trying to generate leads. Facebook knows who's going to click on things and click through things at a higher rate. That's who they're going to put it in front of, right? If you're doing landing page visits, well, they're going to put in people that click on landing pages, right? So like you have to know that like if you're going like, there's so many agencies, I won't name them because it's rude, but like, they just did cost per click for me, and I had $1. I don't care what your cost per click is. Like, that doesn't matter to me. How many leads did you get? What was your ROI? How many signups, right? What was your cost per conversion? And this is my last tangent. If you do sign up with us, don't ask me your cost per click, your impressions, because it doesn't really matter if you're making money, right? If you're making money, none of that is relevant. The only time you go down the frequency, cost per click, all of that, cost per impressions, 1,000 impressions, how much that costs you, is if it is not working in your click-through rate, right? Then you diagnose in the funnel, okay, that's where, unless you're Coca-Cola, you can get in there and be like, we're spending $1 million a month. We have to look, how can we improve 1% in cost per, in the click-through rate? As a gym owner, the bigger levers are, how can we get more booked appointments? How can we get more to show? How can we get more to close, right? Until you perfect all those other metrics don't matter other than cost per lead. And honestly, if we're getting you $50 leads and you're signing every one of them up, doesn't really matter anyways, right? So it's really just an ROI thing that's you want to dial back. And now you guys got
and hopefully, yeah, I mean, and it's a great summary, and hopefully too, like, so by the time our listeners or people who are thinking about working with us, like by the time you get to talking to Blake and Sherman and we're ready to implement something, understand that there's a lot of money and time that went behind the product that they're presenting to you to say, this is why we feel like this is going to work really, really well for you. Even though, Blake, I've been on those calls with you and you don't dive into those details because it's not necessary, but I want people to be aware of that, because the alternative is we lower our prices. We don't have a big enough budget for testing these things, and we're just shooting in the dark and hoping it works for our clients, which I think is a bigger waste of time and energy. So I just wanted to highlight that because that's what I heard.
Yeah, for sure. No, 100%. Yeah. So we are, like, I'll just say this, if you're listening to this, like, man, these guys sound like something I'm interested. We're for people that understand the value of their own time, right? That don't want to do this on their own and don't want to micromanage it. For the people that are like, I want to offload this to the professionals and have them take care of it for you.
Yeah. I know we're coming up on 30 minutes, Sherman. Did you want to put a button on this, or you want to put a bow on this, button it up?
Yeah. So, I think that, the last couple episodes have really given you guys a lot of sort of data. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, hopefully you can get some from it, but you can also watch it on YouTube, because Tommy had the screen up and you can see some of these charts and stuff to see the ROI, because I think that's really important. I know for me, being a 13-year gym owner, I want to know, if I work with these guys, am I going to make money, right? Like, we just talked to a guy today. He was really worried about getting the ROI. We don't get on these calls to hard sell people, but we told him that, you can get an ROI and these are the steps that you need to take. And, we could play with those numbers all day, but it does take a little faith, guys, right? Like, I wish we could, I really do. Like, I wish that we could guarantee results, because it would be good for you guys. It would be great for us. But there is a little risk when you work with us, right? I don't want to get on this thing and say, oh, everyone that works with us is going to crush it. Absolutely. You guys see the testimonials. You know that we get amazing results for some people, but everyone doesn't see top tier grade 1 results, depending on how much work you want to put in, right? I will say, everyone that gets top tier results with us, they listen to every single thing that we tell them, even if they don't necessarily love it. They'll say, okay, that's not how I would do it, but I trust you guys. And then they do it, and then they have success. Again, for us guys, like, we're not married to anything except getting you guys results. So, like, we're not married to a specific copy or photos or videos. Anything that we use on your behalf, we believe is going to work, because we want you to be successful. Because when you guys are successful, you're out talking and giving everyone, excitement that you work with us, that helps us as well. So it's a win-win situation, guys. So we're going to leave it off with that. Guys, as usual, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week. All right.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoy. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's LASSOFRAMEWORK.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.